Hello, second grade writers. Mrs. Bruno here from Herfel Elementary. And today in grammar, we're going to work in Goal 6, one of my favorite parts of speech, the adjective. I love adjectives. You want to know why? Because they just bring your writing to life. They are so much fun to add into writing as well. So let's get started. What you're going to need is your writer's notebook, and make sure that you have a green crayon or marker or colored pencil. Alrighty, here we go. So today we are going to add description to our writing by using adjectives. You might be saying, not quite sure what an adjective is. Well, let's check out the next slide. So an adjective describes a noun. It tells us more about it. So we have 3 nouns to look at in this one chart here. We have a flower. So if I say there was a flower in the garden, okay, what kind of flower? So then you need to describe it. Is it pretty, tiny? Could it be large and colorful, right? If I think of a pretty tiny one, maybe it's a little violet that's purple. If I think of a large, colorful one, maybe it's a big sunflower. So those adjectives say so much more, and they add so much more to our writing so that when the reader reads it, they can visualize more and better what you have written. Another noun we could use is a book. Okay, I read a book. All right, that's great, but tell me more about the book so I can get a picture in my mind. It says here that the book was old and it was funny. So maybe it was kind of a comic book. I'm not sure, but it gives me more information now. Another noun that we have here is dog. So this dog is described as being cute and black. So when I hear a dog being cute, I think of a smaller dog, right? Or maybe the dog was fluffy and white. So those adjectives gave us so much more information about the nouns. Here's a sentence using the adjective. Sam picked a pretty flower. Great, it tells us what kind of flower? A pretty flower. So let's notice the name on our mentor sentence. Jane had a stuffed toy chimpanzee named Jubilee. This sentence comes from the story. Well, let me go back one. This sentence comes from the story Me, Jane. So what I want to notice here, definitely, that I have 2 proper nouns, right? We have the name Jane and the name Jubilee, so we have to use a capital letter. I also notice that we have great spacing yet again. Whoops, why does it keep going that? And we have a period at the end of our sentence. I'm also noticing here that we have a suffix to the word stuffed. We have an ed and a bonus letter. We remember that from foundations, right? So Jane had a stuffed toy chimpanzee named Jubilee. Another suffix here, ed. All right, let's see what happens in our next slide, because we are going to need to see what color we're making our adjectives, which will be green. So that's what we use the green for. Jane had a stuffed toy chimpanzee named Jubilee. To label that adjective, we're going to use green, right? So you're going to mark it with green and underline it. But I'm thinking, could I learn more about this stuffed toy? I wonder if we could add another adjective in there. Let's see what's on our next slide. We certainly can. And guess what? When you add another adjective, then you have now a series. So you have to use a comma. We learned about commas last week. They're important, right? So when you have many adjectives describing a noun, you put a comma between them. Let's see how much better this sentence sounds with 2 adjectives in it. Jane had a stuffed toy chimpanzee named Jubilee. Okay, let's see now with another adjective. Jane had a large stuffed toy chimpanzee named Jubilee. So now I get a better image in my mind. So it is time for us to copy. So you are going to use your notebook, your writer's notebook, and it's nice to see all these different sentences, right, that you have been writing and recording in your notebook, and you can see over time what we've been discussing in these grammar sessions. Make sure when you're using your writer's notebook that you start each line way over at that red margin. Go over to the end of the margin, right, when you begin. So here we go. Jane had a large, stuffed toy chimpanzee named Jubilee. We want to make sure that we have a capital J, not only for the beginning of the sentence, but proper noun. We want to make sure that we have great spacing. We have a comma between large and stuffed. And we have another capital J for the name Jubilee. Don't forget that period. Okay, very important. And we're not finished yet. So when you finish copying, come on back. Great job, writers. Now that you have learned what adjectives are and what they can do, that they're so powerful, that they can add so much more extra information and give a greater picture for the reader to have in their mind, you're going to go over to your writing piece and you're going to see if you can find anywhere where you've either A, already used adjectives, which I'm sure some of you have, or B, where you can add those adjectives, right? Look for those nouns. How can you describe them? So these adjectives are used to jazz up our writing. So when you find them, be sure to go back and highlight them in green, okay? Can't wait to see the great adjectives you've added to your writing, writers.